Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
Well, looky what we have here. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
We're
back.
It's been over a month.
Yeah, we're back with another. Is it over a month?
Yeah, it was like 5 weeks. Sorry, everybody. Life.
It happens. Yeah. Well, with the holidays and, just busy with work. I got sick for a while. Thought I had the COVID. I don't know what I had. I had just a really nasty flu.
Regular sick. People used to get.
Yeah. Or I got COVID so advanced they haven't even named it yet.
Oh, did you not the Omicron?
The Omicron. Wasn't that a transformer?
Yes. Joe Biden was talking about a transform. It was. I don't know if you saw it. It was the first speech he gave about it. He called it the Omicron. The entire.
You gotta watch out for the Omicron. He's gonna come and the Decepticons and Megatron is good. Those are the next variants coming.
Yeah. So since last we met, we were all supposed to get whipped out about Omicron, and then South African doctors and Fauci are kind of like, no biggie. Sorry, everybody. Carry on.
Yeah, well, and the Omicron, that's the thing is I don't want to get into all this for this show, but the Omicron, now I'm calling it that. I always think of Futurama when I hear Omicron, because that was the name of the planet where the big fat lizard people come from. Omicron Persei 8.
Really?
Yeah. Which I always thought was like some sort of joke. Or maybe they just were like, it sounds vaguely dirty. But it's Omicron, Persei, the letter I, and then 8.
Well, that's all Greek-based, except the number.
Right. Well, is Omicron O? What does it? Is there like kind of a direct translation?
I know they didn't they skip a letter because it was the same name as a Chinese province, and they didn't want to stigmatize.
Well, no, I'm not talking about COVID. I'm just talking about the Greek alphabet. I'm trying to figure out what like Omicron Persei 8 would translate to, if anything. Like, is it initials that stand for something? Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah, Omicron is O.
I don't know. Omicron is O. So what's Persei then? P. So it's OPI 8.
Aha. See what they did there. It probably is.
They're doing something there.
Yeah, opiate.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah. It took me a second.
Yeah, I don't even need to look up if it's P. As soon as you said, yep, it's an opiate.
Yeah.
Well, I think it makes sense with the lizard people. Oh, they're
it started
back in
with
the 60s.
Those characters were first introduced when they were getting signals from Earth television, and they were watching Friends. And they were like, because the signals take so long to travel, they were just now like getting to the Friends finale. Ooh. After it took it like 1,000 years to transmit the signal, and then they came and invaded Earth because they wanted to know how it ended.
Quick question: was there a lizard king?
It's a lizard king and queen. That's the one where he's getting ready to give his address to Earth people and give them his terms of like, you have to produce a Friends finale for me to watch, or I'm going to destroy your planet. in 48 hours. And his wife is like, he's standing in front of the camera prepping, and his wife is like fixing his tie and fussing with it. And he's like, stop it, I will destroy you.
I don't think I've seen this episode. Was this in the revival?
No, this is OG.
It's the original run?
Yeah, the lizard people popped up numerous times. There was one time where I think they captured Fry for mating purposes, but that was the very first time that they popped up, and I believe that was like, well, there was only, 2-3 seasons of the original run, so it had to have been one of those.
I feel like that show was on forever.
Well, it kept coming back.
Like, didn't it have like 7 or 8 seasons or something?
Well, it did like an original run. What was it? Maybe it was Fox, and then went to Cartoon Network, and then they did some video-only releases that were movies that they then broke up into seasons, and then they did it like newer full seasons.
Yeah, so 7 seasons.
Yeah, so eventually they got up to 7, but I think it was originally 3, and then technically like 4, 5, and 6 are features that they broke up into 6-episode seasons.
Originally 4 seasons. Did you know this?
What?
Originally 4 seasons of the show were produced. However, Fox aired the show at rather inconsistent intervals and often replaced the show with sports games, so lots of unaired episodes were left over. These remaining episodes aired as the 5th season.
Oh, really? So they just saved all those?
Like, listen, there are so many you haven't seen. Season 5.
Yeah. They were... I don't know what the story is on that, because, I think it's just as quality a writing as The Simpsons was in its heyday. And it must have been like just a passion project for Matt Groening or something. Something that he was like, well, you want me to keep doing The Simpsons, and you're going to have to do my other project.
Hey, we got Bender out of it. So who cares?
Yeah.
We got Bender and Fry.
Yeah, all the characters are great.
Fry, one of the best memes / GIFs on the internet. Shut up and take my money.
Yes.
Or they not sure if, that meme.
Yeah.
As someone who was a delivery boy, a delivery person, I identified with it. It was on at the right time in my life.
Oh, yeah. It was. You were Fry.
Yeah. Although I didn't have
a
kick-ass
the
robot
time
best
machine.
friend who smoked cigars and cursed.
I love when Fry needs a place to live and he moves in with Bender. And Bender, being
like
a robot, he lives in a closet. Well, the space of a closet that he calls his room. And then at some point towards the end of the episode, he's like, says that he's got something in storage, and Fry's like, "You got storage?" He's like, "Yeah, right here in the closet." And the wall behind at the back of the room opens up, and it's like an apartment-sized closet that he has for storage, but he doesn't go into it because what's he going to do? Walk around?
It's true.
He's a robot. He goes there to just shut himself down or whatever. Doesn't even really recharge. Well, that's right. He doesn't have to plug himself in. The robots in Futurama are powered by alcohol.
Yeah, isn't it like he becomes drunk if he doesn't have alcohol?
Yeah. When he stops drinking, he gets a rust all around his mouth, and it looks like a beard.
Oh, that's right.
He's got
a
5 o'clock shadow. He starts going through the withdrawals.
Didn't they meet in a suicide booth?
Yeah, that's right.
Weren't they
were
in line
both trying to kill themselves?
Yeah. Such a heartwarming story.
Yeah, because he's like, "Hey, buddy, you mind if we do a twofer? I'm kind of in a hurry." Like in a hurry to kill himself.
Hey, come on, I got things to do. I'm trying to die here.
Yeah. So, while we were not podcasting, and I was sick for a good week of that, I had a chance to catch up on a lot of things. And there's a lot of great music documentaries out there. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
I gotta I lost my Disney Plus password. My Disney Plus password went away with my ex-wife. Yeah. I gotta get in just to watch this Beatles documentary.
Oh yeah, just throw $8 at Disney and watch that thing because it is.
Just saying it's worth $8.
Worth
like just have for a month just to watch it.
Oh, totally. I find it fascinating. I understand. Like a lot of people are like, well, it's cool and all, but like,
I'm a Beatles nerd. Bring it on.
Yeah, you're going to love this. And it's not what, like, there's a lot of people have been talking about it, obviously, and people have been bringing their own preconceptions of the band to this, and a lot of the lore that we already know to this. I mean, it's really just about band dynamics and if they can pull off this show, if they can actually write new songs for a live show and have it
you get to
actually
see
come off.
their actual creative process, which you've never really gotten to see.
Exactly. And
Adam Carolla called it the Beatles sit in a room and smoke.
Yeah. But it's not. Like, they jam, they play so many songs, they play so many covers. You get to hear the evolution. And it's so, after watching, like, you know, you're like 5-6 hours deep into this almost 8-hour documentary, and then you hear them go into a take, and you know immediately that's on the album. Like, that's the take. And they'll put the caption up after like a few seconds of it. They'll like, oh, this take appeared on the original Get Back album. I'm like, you don't have to tell me, I could hear it immediately. You know, it's just, you hear like, you know, Ringo's drums come in just the right way, and you're like, nope, that's the album take. And it's magical.
Yeah. I mean, they keep coming up with more shit. Kudos to them.
This might be the bottom of the barrel, but yeah, this is a mother load, definitely.
I mean,
for Beatles fans.
I had all the anthologies. I had the videos. I had all 3 discs. I mean, to me, that was just like hearing their demos, hearing their scratch tracks was amazing to me. And then, but yeah, getting to see this unedited stuff, like I don't know. You think it'd be fatiguing? I'm pretty pumped, actually.
I wouldn't say it's definitely not unedited, because, you know, there were like, this is still about, I think, 10% of the total footage shot. And, you know, it's definitely crafted into a story. There's a narrative of the band that Peter Jackson is kind of walking us through. But I believe it to be a very true narrative. I mean, nobody can know for sure that wasn't there at the time, what really happened, but it all seems, it has a very, very much an unedited feel and a fly on the wall type of feel.
So, like, you think he went in and he watched all the footage and he fleshed out the story, being the filmmaker that he is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, are you watching the
journalistic
band break up?
way? No, you're not watching. I don't, because, I mean, I guess you're seeing them at the end of their career, right? There's no denying that, or career together. But I don't. To me, the story wasn't about the band breaking up. You know, it was just about band dynamics, and that, you know, happens sometimes. You know, it's well known, the story of, like, you know, George left the sessions and had to be coaxed back.
Well, I heard George comes off as kind of a baby.
Well, George is the baby, remember?
Yeah, no, but like, man, baby.
Well, yeah, he's tired of having his songs pushed off to the side. Like, he's just as prolific as John and Paul are.
And I get it, but at the same time, like, and I guess maybe you don't know when you're in it. At the same time, like, but you're in the fucking Beatles. Fucking shut up, enjoy the ride. Like, apparently these two, when they do shit, it works. Like, ride that wave.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it too is there's an energy from Paul that's kind of driving this wedge in the band. And part of it is his, like, this is how the song goes, and George, I want you to play like this. But there's also, he's constantly playing to John. And this is just a theory of mine, but there's, towards the end of, like, what the songs on Get It Back and Abbey Road, Paul's songwriting his lyrics start to get a little weirder. And there's definitely an influence, because in my mind, Paul is the great melody writer and John is the crazy lyric writer. But Paul's more about, like, his lyrics, though, they tell stories. And John is just like, they're whatever. As long as they evoke a feeling, it doesn't really matter what the lyrics are. And some of that starts to rub off on John later on. And I get the feeling that like Paul is like trying to shape his stuff to appeal to John more to keep that connection. Because ultimately, like, I think you see more of the deterioration of the relationship between Paul and John more so than just the breakup of the band. And maybe that's one and the same, right? 'Cause,
yeah,
and I think that's what George's beef is ultimately. And again, this is all like fan theory type of stuff, but
like, you want
it's
Paul to pay
almost
attention to him, like it's like a three-way marriage.
He wants like Paul's constantly looking to John to like validate and play with him and like remember this and here and he seems way more collaborative with John, where he's way more just, you know, laying it out for George. And I think that's why George is ultimately miffed. I mean, he says openly, like, I don't like being told what to play, but I think it's more about a relationship thing. There's a little bit of jealousy going on there.
Why don't you collaborate with me?
Right. I mean, I think that's ultimately what he's saying. It's not just, hey,
McCartney Harrison songs.
You don't need to tell me what to play. It's like you're telling me what to play, but you're not telling John what to play.
It's McCartney Lennon, bitch, or Lennon McCartney.
Yeah.
But he got his, because All Things Must Pass is considered like the best of the Beatles solo material.
Absolutely. And it's great. I mean, like, towards the end of the doc, you know, the whole thing kind of shifts because it was supposed to be a movie and then it's going to be a TV show, or maybe vice versa, a TV show and then movie. And then it was just going to be a concert that they broadcast. And as they're getting closer and closer to this concert date that they've now set, they still don't have these songs together. And that's the other magic of like actually watching them, you know, just pull this shit together. You know, there's a few takes that happen in the studio. I think there's at least 3 that they feature that are in the studio that are takes that make it to the album. And everything else was from the roof.
So it was not only the promise of a rooftop concert or a concert in general, it was a promise of a concert of all new shit.
Yeah.
Way to put the button on yourselves. But again,
exactly.
I mean, that's why they were great, though.
Exactly. And they pull it off. Like, that performance is just fantastic. I don't know. And it's another favorite of mine, the director, Michael Lindsay Hogg. I can't do the voice very well, but he's got this very posh British accent, and he's like, all right, chaps, and he calls everyone by he's got initials, like their code names. All right, JL, here's what we're going to do today. And have you guys considered that we play out in the desert, right? Imagine this, the sunset coming down behind you, and and he's got these like polyester, like wide collared suits on and big, like, you know, 60s, 70s hair.
So just the archetype of the London music scene.
Exactly.
Executive
just
at this time.
He fits to a T, you know, the type of business person that was just probably sucking up to, you know, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all these. Well, he was also the producer of he directed the Rock and Roll Circus for the Rolling Stones.
Like Eric Idle's playing him in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah. Have we talked I think maybe we talked about the Velvet Underground doc. Did we talk about that one?
No.
That one's really good too.
Oh man.
And that's
the one Adam Carolla loved?
Yeah, probably not. Well, this is it's definitely way shorter. I mean, this is like hour 40, maybe it pushes 2 hours, but it goes by pretty fast.
Does it get into how Lou was in the Brill building?
I think they touch on some of it.
That's how he got into music in New York.
Right, which if you don't know, that was like where they were doing all the pop songwriting. They would just have like a whole building full of
Carole King
offices. Yeah, they had very famous songwriters that started out there that they would just crank out songs, and you know, just as sheet music and demos.
That was
and
a
then
fucking
they'd go
job.
Damn. And then they'd go find some singer to, you know, or maybe they'd give it to somebody famous, and you know, you'd really get noticed. But yeah, that was your 9 to 5. Like, you put on a fucking suit, You went and bought a pack of Lucky Strikes that you were going to smoke all in that office in that one day. And you sat down at a piano, and you probably worked with the lyricist. Maybe you worked alone. And that was it. You fucking clock in at 8, clock out at 5. How many songs did you produce today?
And probably nonchalantly expected to be stoned while doing it because you're a creative type.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lou was initially trying to be legit, like, hey, let's write pop songs.
Well, yeah, and that kind of shows, because as weird as the band was, the weirdness came from the disparate elements all coming together. The fact that everybody had a different idea of what that band should be, and that they had literal fights at the mixing board.
Huh.
You know, fighting over, what should be the dominant parts of the songs. And that's why their catalog is so chaotic and all over the place. And I love it all, and I definitely appreciate the influence of this band and everything, but the songs that really speak to me end up being Lou's. And those are the poppy songs.
Oh,
those are like "Here Comes the Sun" and
"Loaded" is their best album. Yes,
"Loaded" is their best album, and John Cale's gone by that point. John Cale is out of the band. That's Lou Reed and what's his name? There was a guitar player that came in later. But yeah.
As I'm not playing "Loaded."
Yeah. No, honestly, that's the thing is, if somebody, there's two different questions really. Like, what's your favorite Velvet Underground? Loaded, hands down. Mm-hmm. What's the most influential Velvet Underground? Well,
that first one.
It would probably be you'd have to say the first one, but then again, it also depends on what you're like if, White Light, White Heat, probably my least favorite, but it's probably the most influential on a lot of bands that I love, like Stereo Lab and, all kinds of like krautrock, like trancier kind of rock.
I think, and I think I probably said it before, if not, I'm saying it now, I don't think you get alternative music without the genre, so to speak, without the Velvet Underground. You don't get bands like the Talking Heads.
Right.
You don't get Radiohead. You just don't. And any super influential, the quote-unquote alternative, you don't get that without the Velvet Underground. They're the fathers of that kind of music, in my opinion.
Of alternative, indie, noise.
Yeah. You don't get Sonic Youth without the Velvet Underground.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely you don't.
What's the joke that there was only like 10 people at the first show and they all went and started bands?
And every one of those, one of them started a band that went on to be influential. So yeah, the doc is really good though. It's not a comprehensive look at the Velvet Underground. There's plenty of books that I could point you to for that, or the most recent run of No Dogs in Space, a music-based podcast that I love that does deep dives on bands. They did a 5-part on the Velvet Underground that's just fantastic if you want a more comprehensive of all the ins and outs of it. But this documentary, this is Todd Haynes, and he does a fantastic job of really kind of conveying the whole vibe of the Velvet Underground through film, right? It really feels like if Andy Warhol stayed alive enough to make, a Velvet Underground documentary today, it would probably look quite a bit like this.
So, like, is it like
it's very much
needlessly artsy?
Yeah, but I think appropriately so, right? I mean, look at the material.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It like really fits. And it tells a great story of a band that, was constantly just held together with shoestring, right? Like there were just the faintest of relationships that were keeping these people together in the first place.
And drugs.
And drugs, yeah. I guess that was their common interest, drugs.
Did anyone ever just come out and say, look, somebody was fucking Nico, that's why, okay?
Somebody was...
like, those are my least favorite tracks
Oh, I
on the
love
Banana
Nico.
album. Is I skip over all the fucking Nico songs.
Oh, I'll Be Your Mirror? Really? That's a beautiful song. I even love Nico's solo stuff.
Like,
Probably
that's what happens when you're hot and blonde. Nobody goes, hey, you can't sing.
I wouldn't say that she can't sing. She has a unique voice.
Hey, you can't sing well.
The band wasn't really. I think
she'd be a pop
Nico.
superstar. Auto-tune would fix her up right.
Oh, yeah.
right away.
Exactly. Well, if she'd have to dance.
That's true. Yeah. The music career now comes with a choreographer.
No, but I think that was Andy that was pushing that on the band.
Just they're much better. Sans Nico. Did you hear Alice Cooper's version of Rock and Roll when he came out? He came out with an album this year, I think.
Oh no,
he did a bunch.
I'd be curious. I need to hear that then.
Let's play it. It's actually I don't like. It's not like, oh my god, this is so great, but it's also like that's not bad. Like, at least that was my.
I think that song is kind of crazy because it is like the most obviously rocking song that Lou Reed has written, in my opinion, but it's also the most like passionate and revealing and really meaningful song. Like, and
I forgot it just starts cold.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe what you heard at all.
See, this is what you do with the cover. Because if you didn't tell me anything about this and just played it, I'd be like, that's really cool. It sounds like Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And that's the brilliance of a great cover. A great cover highlights how good the song is. You can take that song, play it in different ways, mess with it, and still have it come off as a great song.
It's
and
like,
still have your own voice for it.
Every time I hear Adam Carolla rant about Lou Reed, I'm like, has no one played him Loaded? Someone in his orbit find the album Loaded and play it for him.
Yeah.
I think he would like it. Try not to speak for the Ace Man. But like, that's if you are a fan of songwriting and hooks, like, Loaded is a good album.
Oh, it's hooky as hell.
Yes.
I mean, that was that was like the band's we want to be a fucking huge band.
Yeah, that was like,
right?
Hey, let's try to move some units.
Yeah. Like, they always thought what they were doing was cool and that more people should pay attention to them. But this was just like, no, let's throw away all the artifice. Let's just make these songs as catchy as we fucking can and really grab people's ears.
Well, fuck yeah, gave him Sweet Jane, right?
Sweet Jane. Beautiful fucking song.
Which I didn't know this was a cover until late in my teenage years. I thought this was a Mazzy Star song.
No, it's Cowboy Junkies.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, wait a minute, I've heard this song before.
Well, it's funny, like, so I think the version that Cowboy Junkies do, the slowed down version.
Oh, it's the I Want to Kill Myself version.
Yeah. That's actually, they're covering, I think it appeared on a solo album of Lou Reed after the band broke up. He did a slow version like that. It just wasn't as popular as the rockin' version. But yeah, I was a dumb kid. I didn't know about, I mean, like, I knew who the Velvet Underground was. It was that weird band that hung around with Andy Warhol. But I didn't give a fuck about them. And yeah, I thought, what a great song by the Cowboy Junkies. At some point, and this was well after the Cowboy Junkies cover, but they did like a pretty big tribute album where all these alternative bands that I was into, like, you know, Pixies and Swerve Driver and stuff. I think Pixies were on that one, or maybe I'm thinking of the Leonard Cohen. But yeah, they did a tribute to Velvet Underground, and it was listening to that where I was like, maybe I have to pay attention to this band.
There's one from 2021, but I'm guessing.
Oh no, this would have been like 90s.
Huh? But okay, I've caught enough. Michael Stipe, Matt Berninger, I don't know. St. Vincent, Thurston Moore, Iggy Pop.
Oh, isn't this music from the doc?
It says I'll Be Your Mirror, a tribute to the Velvet Underground and Nico.
Oh, okay, I guess not, yeah. I haven't heard that. I'll have to check that one out. I like those artists.
Oh, come on, Michael Stipe. Remember when you were good?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be Sunday morning.
Yeah. I really wanted to continue to like REM. I remember getting Up.
Remember when his head was like not in his ass?
Yeah. Well, drum machines didn't work out well for that band.
Oh my God, the old radio programmer in me is like, I'm done. It's 30 seconds. You haven't sung a word. Next.
Are they specifically doing songs from that, like the Velvet Underground and Nico album? So they're redoing the whole album. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
I've got a restless feeling by my side.
It's probably never going to kick in, right? Like it's probably going to go back into that atmospheric bullshit when he stops singing.
It's just the wasted years so close behind. Watch out, the world's behind you.
Oh, I'm out.
He's still into that techno shit.
I just heard auto-tune.
Yeah.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The best PBR cowboys in the world are coming to New York City. Cooper Davis, Kaiki Pacheco, defending world title champion Jose Vitor Lemi, and many more battle it out with the roughest bulls in the business for an all-new professional bull rider season you have to see to believe. Join us for the PBR Monster Energies Buck-Off at the Garden, January 7th and 8th at New York's famed Madison Square Garden. Tickets available now at PBR.com and Ticketmaster.com. Tickets are going fast, so get them while you can. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
From earaches to strep tests, there's Minute Clinic at CVS. See a provider, fill a prescription, and grab essentials. Or see us online with telehealth options. That's healthier made easier. Visit Minute Clinic at CVS today. Services vary by location. See MinuteClinic.com for details.
Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
ChristopherMedia.net.
The Weedsman Podcast.
At 2, Michael Stipe with the auto-tune.
Please.
Go back. Can you just go back to the Green days?
Yeah, I was just listening to Green the other day. That album is so solid, man.
I always, and you know what, I know it was their quote unquote mainstream. I forget how influential the album Out of Time was in my life.
Oh yeah.
Like it hit me at just the right time when I was learning about music, thinking about playing guitar, like going, oh, like all guitar music doesn't have to be like loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
And like I wore that album fucking out. Like I had the cassette of that. That definitely was warbly.
Yeah, I think there's still Green is still my favorite, but it's almost because it's like Out of Time works really well as an album. I think. Green, not so much. It's got some really great songs on it, but it's all over the place. And there's some really weird stuff on that album. But yeah, if you're just talking about like putting together a really solid collection of songs into an album, Out of Time, it's hard to beat.
Well, that was the producer going, "Hey, you guys want to stop worrying about eating?
Yeah.
You want to buy a nice house? We're putting together because they got a song with KRS-One. Remember,
that's right.
Remember
Yeah,
KRS-One's on the first track.
Yep. Yeah, they weren't fucking around. Well, they got a little taste of it with Stand. That was like the unexpected hit. That was the song that they kind of dashed off as like, this is kind of a dumb song. And it was so damn catchy that, they actually started getting a little bit of attention beyond. This was like that going from college radio to, we get some spins on MTV, and I'm not talking 120 minutes.
Yeah. No, yeah, like we're on during the day.
Yeah.
No, it was, and I believe.
Are watching.
Yeah. And I believe the story behind that song, if I recall, is this story that you have heard a lot. It was like we needed a song for an album. We threw this one together really quick, and it ended up being a huge fucking hit.
Yeah.
Like we wrote it in 10 fucking minutes, and now people beg for us to play it.
That's still great. I used to, in high school, I would jump up on the desk in art class and do the dance. Where you're swinging your arms around, kick your leg out. I'm doing it right now, actually, as we're listening to it.
Michael Stipe still had hair on the top of his head.
Right?
Blows my mind to think, like, ooh, this was college rock. It sounds like so just down the middle, like regular rock now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then what was there was a similar song on Out of Time, with the one with, was it Kate Pearson from B-52s?
Shiny Happy People.
Shiny Happy People. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this one, I think this one was big because it had a video.
Yeah.
They were all dancing around. They were just, B-52s were just coming off of Love Shack.
Right.
So having Kate Pearson not only gave you a little bit of artistic credit, it also gave you some heat.
Yep.
REM too, making the Rickenbacker popular again.
Oh, yeah.
Riding the John Lennon vibe.
Oh, dude, the gear. I love, not to go back to the Beatles doc, but George Harrison's guitars in that doc. Oh,
just all, even Ringo's drums, just all the gear. The Hammond B3s.
Yeah.
I still say rock music production peaked in the 70s. Sure, it's better now. You can fucking program everything on a grid and all that. No, as far as sonically, I think the best way we captured a drum, amplified guitars, vocals, and bass in a room was in the 70s. I believe Dave Grohl built the studio that they record all the Foo Fighters albums now. It's state of the art via 1974.
Yeah, he bought, what's it called? It was a really famous studio. I forget.
I'm just telling the sweet spot for band production in general, even when you throw in R&B music too, the fucking mid 70s. There was just something about the way they were producing music, from 70 to 79, where it was just whatever you're doing here. Yes, because once the 80s started, the big gated drums fucking came in and the synthesizer showed up.
Sound City Studios. So Sound City Studios is I think he's renamed it, or maybe it's not, maybe he renamed it Studio 606, or maybe that's a different space that he has. But he bought Sound City, and that was opened in 1969 out in California. So that was basically the sound of the 70s, that studio. Now that was more so your James Taylors that were recording out there than your John Bonhams.
Yeah. The perfect sounding rock album is Physical Graffiti. Ever in a rock band, I just go to the engineer, hear this.
Yeah.
Make my band sound. Now, again, No. It sounds it sounds a little arrogant, a little ballsy. I'm saying just more sonically. Make the drums sound like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make the guitars sound like this. Make the bass sound like this. Man, we are music nerding out today.
We are. I didn't even get a chance to get into the Sparks documentary, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to be more your speed anyway than the. You'll definitely dig the Beatles one. The Sparks, that's a little more out there. Those guys are weirdos, but I really loved it.
While we were on the subject of the jangly guitar and the Beatles, R.I.P. Mike Nesmith.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then there was Mickey. It's it.
That's the last monkey?
Davey went first.
Yep.
Then Peter.
Went down to Davy Jones' locker.
That's right.
He did not.
And didn't Mike Nesmith tapped out for a while, right? They had to get him to come back. Like, hey man, you're missing out on a lot of cash. The whiteout money's gone.
Oh, I don't know.
No,
the whiteout money. That's right. His mother invented whiteout.
Is that an urban legend?
No, it's not.
So
he was
true.
on. There was I think he was on Gilbert Gottfried's podcast. Maybe an old, or maybe somebody that. It's definitely true. There's so many sources on that. It's definitely not an urban legend. There's the whole story of how she invented it. It's well known.
But I know for again, I was a kid. I was really into the Monkees because they played them on Nickelodeon. So I'd always watch them after school.
Yeah.
I believe the first album that I actually requested to buy was More of the Monkees. Yeah. Oh, don't mock me. I was like, fuck.
No, I'm not, dude. I am so not.
But it's... But so... where was I going with this? Just, I don't know. I like the Monkees. And...
My mom always used to tell me that she loved the Monkees more than the Beatles back in the day. Even.
Wow. Oh, no, I know where I was going. They tried to revive him in the 80s. They had the big comeback tour, and Nesmith wasn't involved. It was Peter and Davey and Mickey. Because I guess Mike Nesmith was like, he did the whole artist thing, right? I don't want to be known for just that, blah, blah,
right.
blah. And
what, is he too busy making a sequel to Head?
Yeah, he's too busy to put the green hat back on and pull out the Rickenbacker. But I guess by the end, I guess the last 10 years or so, they finally talked him into hey man, let's get the band back together, and he did. Maybe he took Davey dying. I don't know if he got back with him before Davey died. But they finally got him. And apparently, too, wasn't he the only real musician? Wasn't he the only one actually playing on the albums?
Yeah, he was the only one that they auditioned that actually knew how to write songs.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it was a kind of a point of contention because he obviously wanted to get his songs out there, and they're like, no, look, we got this guy called Neil Diamond.
Yeah, we got Boyce and Hart, we got Neil Diamond, we're set.
Yeah. We got that. All you guys got to do is look, freaky, but in a generally non-threatening way.
And in the one album where they did write the music, didn't it bomb?
Remember Maynard? We want kind of that.
We Maynard G. Krebs.
Yeah, Maynard G. Krebs for the new generation. That's all you guys need to be.
And they kind of were.
Yeah.
It's such a good song.
It is. I'm doing the sway dance right now. Kick your feet out a little.
Oh man! But you had one left. So what's Mickey? Does Mickey just now tour as the Monkees, or does he just go fuck it? Just gonna tour Comic-Cons and sign autographs till I die.
I hope. I mean, there's worse things to do.
Wait, you get the Ringo, Paul, Mickey, form supergroup.
Yeah, doing new Woolberries.
There you go. Jeff Lynne could produce it.
Yeah. Jeff Lynne still around?
Yes. Yeah, he's just busy producing a little. He only works with guys like Paul McCartney.
Right. All right. So we should talk some about weed then.
Cannabis.
There's, well, let's just say in general, this has kind of been a weird year for weed. Like probably the least eventful year news-wise since we started this podcast. Not that there wasn't movement.
Yeah, come on, Blue Team. You're in charge. What's going on? You're supposed to ram this home?
Yeah.
Should be taken care of by now?
You would think so. So, latest news on it, I guess there's, the White House does have a plan to ease the path of cannabis research, which we know it's almost non-existent. I mean, if there is a path, it's so overgrown with shitty weed that nobody wants to smoke that nobody can find the path. But, there has been some progress on that. We know up until, pretty recently, there was only one federally government-sanctioned place that was allowed to grow weed, and that was like, I think it was the university in Georgia, if I remember correctly. And the quality of the weed was so poor, it didn't even reflect what was on the streets, much less the crazy hydroponic shit that was coming out.
The government was inept at something. What?
Yeah. So that's starting. I mean, they've loosened regulations as far as that's concerned. And the DEA is working directly with the White House to try and streamline that process more. So this was from San Antonio Current has a story on this, saying federal agencies with oversight of illegal drugs say that they support a Biden White House plan that would make it easier for scientists to conduct research on Schedule I drugs such as cannabis and psychedelics.
So what does that mean?
What does it mean? Let's see. They have a quote here from the DEA's Principal Deputy Administrator, Louis Millione.
Let's call him Louis.
It's Milione. It looks like Millie One.
Oh, Millie? Like Lil Wayne?
Millione. It is critical that the scientific and medical community study Schedule I substances, as some may turn out to have therapeutic value. That's interesting, because it does kind of highlight, that statement highlights how ridiculous the schedule is, right? Because you've put it on a list saying, like, this is classified as no medical value, okay? So, well, how do you know it has no medical value? Did you study it? Well, no, we don't study it because it's too dangerous. So if you don't study it, how do you know it's too dangerous? Well, because it's on Schedule I. No, it's on Schedule I because you put it on. Yeah, because you can't study it because it's too dangerous. So if you don't know and you never study it, like, it will just always stay on Schedule I.
They're like, just ask this scientician.
It's a catch-22, right? That's the thing. These drugs were never put on Schedule I after they were extensively tested. They were just like, people like getting fucked up off of this shit. That means automatically there can't be any medical value to this.
Yeah.
Just by the fact of who was using it. Recreational drug users, abusers. He goes on to say, DA supports the administration's legislative proposals, expansion of access to Schedule I research. DEA looks forward to continuing to work with the research community, and just a lot of, not really saying a whole lot there. So not really details on what the plan is, what they're going to study, how they're going to study it. I mean, the DEA themselves don't do this. They would just be the ones that would have to approve, or I would imagine oversee in some fashion the project, but they don't decide what.
It's in the name.
What they would, they're just the enforcers.
That's what the
They're
D
not the
stands
scientists.
for.
Yeah, that's what the
what
the E stands for, enforcers.
And it's not like Dr. Nick Riviera either. This is like a legit guy.
No, Louis Millione.
Yeah,
he's the DA's principal deputy administrator. That sounds like an official position.
Like, all I could think of is the Simpsons thing. Let's ask this scientician. And they just show the guy, and it's just, he doesn't even say a word.
It's like a poll quote for a movie where they just put quotes around one word. Good. The Chicago Sun-Tribune calls it a good time.
Not terrible.
That was pulled from the sentence, the only good thing I can say about this movie.
Yeah. The New York Times called it a movie.
Called it definitely a movie that exists. So Visa has come out with a warning that doesn't specifically target cannabis, but I guess this is something that happens predominantly in the cannabis industry. And that is transactions, cashless ATM transactions. So do you know what that means?
Your debit card?
Right. Well,
Apple Pay, Samsung Pay?
No. In this case, it
NFC,
would be
near field communication is the actual technical name for all that shit.
Let's say you go somewhere that has the ability to process ATM transactions to withdraw cash and does a cash-only business. And what they do instead of having people go to the ATM and withdraw it is they take their card, run it as an ATM withdrawal, and just round it up to,
yes.
So
I've heard this happens.
Right. So you go and buy an 8er and it's like $55 with tax, and you give them your card. They pull 60 from it.
And they give you the change.
And then you get the change from it.
This may have happened to me recently.
Yeah. So I've never done that, but I'm not opposed to it. I mean, if that was offered as an option, I'm like, yeah, why not?
I don't have to hit the cash machine. Yeah, go ahead.
And I get some change to hit. Like now I got $5 to buy snacks at the gas station. Fuck yeah. It sounds like a win-win.
See, if I get singles back, I give it to them.
That's true, yeah.
Like anything under 5, I shoot to the bud tender. But you give me a 5 or more, I'm keeping that shit. Sorry. I'll give you the ones. If you give me 7, I'll give you the 2.
So this was in a piece in the High Times. And
the
they
High
say
Times.
the High Times. It says, while cannabis companies weren't explicitly mentioned in Visa's memo, there's a good chance it was directed at such companies, given the prevalence of cashless ATMs in the cannabis industry. Let's see. Visa is aware. Here's from their statement. Visa is aware of a scheme where POS devices, point of sale, not pieces of shit, although both usually. Most POS systems are POS. We're in a scheme where POS devices marketed as cashless ATMs are being deployed at merchant outlets and are operating in violation of Visa core rules. So, without calling anybody out that you did business with, did they actually have like an ATM behind the counter, or did they just run it through a normal like card reader?
I just ran my shit through a card reader. Told me exactly what you said. Oh, we're going to round it up to the nearest 5. Okay. So,
they could do it by 5. Well, it's true. I guess, I think ATM transactions aren't per se limited to $20 intervals. It's just that's the easiest thing to stack up.
But, I mean, I've been to several dispensaries where they do that. Oh, you take card? Oh, shit. Cool. And that's how they do it. And then that was one I used to go to. What to do it? They're like, they're like, it'll be back up in a week or 2. Like, we can't take it right now, which basically means they got caught and they had to set up a new one. a new machine, new account or whatever.
Right, yeah. So do they, excuse me. Sorry. Burping. Do they hand you like a keypad to enter your PIN number?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so all they did was get an ATM machine, but then they just wired it through a regular card reader, which I guess you totally could.
Yeah. Works for me.
Interesting. See, cashless ATMs are POS devices driven by payment applications that mimic standalone ATMs. However, no cash disbursements are made to cardholders. Instead, the devices are used for purchase transactions, which are miscoded as ATM cash disbursements. Purchase amounts are often rounded up to create the appearance of a cash disbursement. Yeah. This sounds like your problem. Like, so what? How does that affect me?
You're getting
this
paid,
sounds like
Visa, who cares?
Cashless ATM trend is damaging to investors, dispensaries, and consumers. As when it comes down to it, it's blatant money laundering. This is according to Canatrack CEO Tom Gavin, who was asked to comment on this story by High Times. Instead of creating loopholes and using cashless ATMs, dispensaries should take advantage of other solutions currently on the market that are safe, legal, and transparent. Oh, you mean like your probably branded Canatrack service? A proper financial solution would be registered with FIN, FinCEN? What is that? FIN and then capital CEN. That sound familiar to you? I'm going to look this up. United States Department of Treasury. Okay, so it must be something I don't know what it stands for. It's some sort of federal thing. Maybe it's like the equivalent of FDIC, but it's not a bank. But anyway, either way you slice it, this Tom Gavin guy is wrong. I mean, ultimately he's right. Like, whatever his business is, looks probably a good solution for the meantime until they figure out all this banking stuff. But the real answer is let them bank, right? Like, Visa has pull, right? Don't you imagine? They probably have a healthy amount of political power.
A little bit.
Right? They can get stuff done.
For a while, I mean, when we were kids, there was one of two names in the credit card conversation.
Yeah.
And one of them started with Visa.
So why wouldn't Visa leverage its power to try and remove cannabis from Schedule I and let the banks do their thing, and then everyone can use their Visa card, whether it's debit or credit, to buy their weed, and Visa will make more money, right? You're policing the wrong end of this. I mean, are the people who are doing these cashless ATMs breaking the rules and agreements that they, signed when they signed up to do business with Visa? Sure, absolutely. But the better question is, why are they breaking these rules?
You could argue a ATM at a dispensary is a money laundering machine.
Yes.
Like, you were literally taking out money to launder. Like, hey, take out your dirt. Clean up your money here. That's what that sign should say at the ATM. Like, every dispensary with an ATM should be shut down. If that's what you're going to go with, every dispensary with an ATM... Oh, I shouldn't say it. Someone might get ideas. Because they're essentially going, hey, launder money right here. If that's really your picadillo there, Visa.
Yep. And I won't get into the taxes because it seems like this comes up every show lately. But I'll just say, as long as we're talking about businesses figuring out loopholes and workarounds, we're only going to see more and more of that. And there's two stories that kind of highlighted that for me this week. One was this is from thestreet.com. Cannabis tax revenue to leap, exceeding take from alcohol. United States collected about $2 billion in tax revenue last year. That number could jump to $12 billion by 2030, according to a recent report.
Hey, there's money in weed. Who knew?
So, right, but it's not just it's
George Young knew
what they're plotting out here. If we put it on a graph, if you could see the increase in cannabis sales, just through more shops opening up, more states becoming legal, that curve, if you drew that curve on a graph, the sharper curve up would be the tax revenue. It's not following the growth of cannabis. So ultimately, I mean, if you continue down this route, then you're really putting a cap on how big the legal market could be. That's government hindering small businesses. And, every percentage point of tax means a certain percentage point of people going back to the black market. Everyone's got their breaking point, and, that 1-2% increase on it gets up to, you're now paying like 20-25% tax on this shit, and you're going to go, why would I do this?
Oh, for sure. I mean, man, when I bought weed in Oakland, it's like, wait, what? Like, my cartridge was like $50 or something, and when they were like, all right, $75, like, what?
And I don't know what your experience is in the dispensaries lately, but especially the last 3-4 months, prices have started going down and quality's going up.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed the prices on either side are matching each other now. Now, the rec side's still paying more tax. Because the other day, I decided I wanted to get some flour. I was like, hey, I haven't had flour in a while. We'll go nuts. I'll take out an extra 20. We'll get some flour. You know, and I started pointing at what I want. They're like, oh, no, you're medical. Come over here. You don't want to pay that extra tax. Like, all right. They're like, right this way, sir. And they pulled out a velvet rope. Not really. But that's what it was like. They're like, no, man, you got the... Because I remember even when I was in Vegas, they're like, no, you got a medical... Because Nevada does reciprocity.
Yep.
They're like, oh, no, you come over here. Like, here's your prices. And out there, it is definitely worth having that card. It's easily saving like $10 an item.
Yeah. But we know how this goes. Like, we've seen it happen with cigarettes. You know, when we started smoking, we were getting packs for like $4. And by the time we stopped, it was like $8 or more.
When I started, it was $2.50.
And it was...
I started young.
And it was this steady creep of like, we can just keep cranking away at this because we don't want people doing this anyway. And that's going to be ultimately how they're going to look at cannabis.
It is $8 right now.
Yeah.
I remember in New York City, I remember seeing a sign for a pack of Newports, $15. This is like 5 years ago. This is like 2015. Like in Manhattan, 15 for one. I remember when I first started, $20 got you a carton.
$20 gets me... $20 gets me like damn near a month worth of vape these days.
Oh, I had a special one time. I don't know if I told you about this on the podcast. And yeah, I think I did. They were like, hey, we got these right now. They're all for $10. Like, what? Word? So like I had cartridges for the whole month of October for like $30. It was great.
Damn.
I found a new dispensary. I don't know if I've ever shared this on the show. Because just the spot I was going to in Warren had it converted to medical and rec, and ever since they started allowing the commoners in there, this is no good. It's just always jammed. The customer service was horrible. There were even if you'd ordered like online, like you just go in there and wait, or if you did curbside, you just sit out there and wait. Like it was just like it was like sorry. My problem was there was. Once it went rec, there was no running in and running out. It was over. You were always waiting. So I found a new spot right around the corner. It is like super small, and like nobody knows about it. It seems because the most people I've ever seen in there at once is like 3. But it reminds me of a West Coast dispensary. It reminds me of dispensaries I used to go to in like Oregon. Yeah, it's this little tiny spot, and it is possible. Be in, be out. See ya.
Well, I'm not clear what you mean by it reminds you of a West Coast. Like it's just more like open and friendly retail space? Or
I guess just the style of dispensary. I guess I can't explain as far as how it's set up.
Oh, okay.
Like I guess out there, because what it is, it's like it's like an old house that they've turned into a dispensary. And in Oregon, there was a lot of that.
Ah, yeah.
Like if you've ever been to a dispensary in Ann Arbor, there's a lot of dispensaries in Ann Arbor like that.
Yep.
It's that kind of style.
Nice.
Whereas
you found a secret pimp spot.
Yeah. Whereas the one that I used to go to, it was built out to be a dispensary. It's this big old, or maybe it wasn't, but it's a big old industrial. It's got the feel of like it used to be like a doctor's office or some shit.
All right. So I started off the tax discussion though with saying there were 2 stories. So there was the one story about the ever increasing tax rate on cannabis that, sky's the limit on if we don't, do something about it. And then in the San Francisco Chronicle, there's an interview with Mikey Steinmetz, who is the co-founder of Flow Canna. And he's saying that tax revolt is coming to California's flailing cannabis industry. That's the headline of this story. And Mikey Steinmetz is saying he won't pay cultivation taxes next year if Governor Newsom doesn't help out California's legal growers and sellers. Damn. If they don't do something about the high tax rates, he is going to refuse to pay it outright. And, most people, I'm sure everybody else in California in this industry is thinking the same thing because, their taxes are outrageous out there. And I'm sure most of those business owners, they're not doing something proactive like this. They're just juicing their numbers. They're like, all right, every time you want to increase taxes on me, that's that many less cash transactions that I report, right?
Yeah. He's like, oh.
That's less incentive for me to report my full taxable income because so much of it you force me to do in cash. So now I can just launder it and keep it under the table. I can pay cash right out of the register to under the table employees who now that's another tax base that you're not getting, right? Government isn't getting any money off of that employee either. And
she's going out mafia style. Hey, that's some nice tax money you got there.
Yeah.
Be ashamed if something happened to
this
it.
Is a cascade. This is a cascading thing, though. Once your business starts to operate in a gray area, where's the line? And
right.
once you start deciding that think about it. I mean, just human nature. Once you start deciding that the government's charging me too much, so I'm going to do something about it on my end. So then that line just starts moving more and more towards your side, right? You're like, no, I've decided I should be reporting, 80% of my taxable income. Next year, 70.
That is a slippery slope, my friend.
Exactly.
That ends in jail.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm not saying anybody should do this. I'm saying this is human nature. When you start doing this is what this is the response that people are going to do. As you increase taxes, you get less tax compliance.
I used to deal with franchise business owners with a job I had. Mm-hmm. And there was many stories that run around about gentlemen or ladies, it's equal opportunity, who would decide to perhaps not be completely honest with what they told the government they were making. And all these stories ended with this person was on a vacation. State sponsored, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
The government the government, I've been saying this for years, the government is the ultimate pimp. They always get their fucking cut. And if they find out they're not getting their fucking cut, they're going to be pissed, and they're taking it out of your ass.
Yes, they don't play with the government.
No. Like, I knew someone who was talking about, I got approved for this and this. Like, I got approved for, it was something like they got unemployment and disability, and you can't get both. I was like, don't do that. They're like, oh, no. I'm like, no, man, I'm taking this while it's good. I'm going to spend it. If they want it, I'm going to spend it before they can get it. I'm like, well, first of all, that's not how that works, because they'll still want it back.
Yeah.
I said, second, they have your social security number. They will find you. They're the government. That is how they are paying you. I never inquired as to how that all ended up working out, but I just remember going, all right, man, good luck with that. That is not the smartest idea I've ever heard. So I guess, yeah, the point is they're going to come after this dude in California. Bro, you know where you fucked up to? There's a news story about it. We're talking about it. So there's that. So guess who's getting a financial colonoscopy? You.
Yeah, exactly. This dude right here. So, and last story for this week, and then we'll get out of here. But as long as we're on the subject of, I can't believe we're still talking about this. 35 hospitalized in Florida with severe bleeding after smoking synthetic, quote unquote, spice.
Bleeding?
Severe bleeding. Yeah. Well, I think from their lungs.
What the fuck? They're smoking fiberglass?
No, who knows what they're smoking? But they're smoking something that's, spice or whatever they've called. I mean, we've all seen it. The fake, the herbs laced with God knows what that's being sold all over the place as like legal cannabis or cannabis alternative. Either way, look, people, don't buy your drugs from the gas station. Right? That's not where they sell them. Okay?
I feel like
it's not good for you.
Everything you need to know about that statement is in the statement.
Yeah. I mean, NyQuil. Sure, you need some allergy medicine because you left home with that. That's fine. Your street drugs? No. Your party drugs? Alcohol, I guess. Yeah. They're good at that.
I used to say not food, but have you been to Speedway lately?
Yeah.
But I'd say don't buy sushi at the gas station. I would definitely put that in there.
Yeah, okay. Let's make Let's just make a list of things that you don't buy at a gas. Egg salad sandwich. Right? Don't buy it at the gas station.
See, I bought chicken salad
Perfectly fine.
sandwich at Speedway. I'm fine.
All right. Well, you're living dangerously.
Right? Well, it's Speedway, right? It's not like it's like Bill's gas station and it's like wrapped
sure.
in like, look like Bill made it in the bag. It's like it's in a hermetically sealed, container.
It's not. It barely qualifies as food. It can't even spoil.
I'm food safety certified. Trust me, I'm eyeballing stuff before I eat it. Stuff like that. Like, yeah, if it looks like it came from a factory, I'm down. I mean, sure, it's processed, but like I said, the food handling isn't the issue.
All right, I guess that's it.
All right. Well,
there's another one.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
What?
No, I don't have another story. I was saying there's another one, as in this is the end of the show, and this show is now another one.
Gotcha. DJ Colin.
Yes.
Find us on the Twitter at TheWeedsman420, on Instagram at The Weedsman Podcast. Drop us an email at TheWeedsmanPodcast@ChristopherMedia.net. Head there if you'd like to help us out. Hit the Amazon banner and the PayPal button. You can help us out. One way is just giving us money. The other way is just buying your Amazon stuff and us getting a little kickback. And wherever you listen to us, rate us, review us. That is how you help people find the Weedsman. Thank you for listening. It's good to be back, and stay high.
Stay high.
Here's the only sound that's tolerable when a migraine attack strikes. Nurtec ODT Rimegepant 75 milligrams can provide migraine pain relief, which can help break the silence. Nurtec is the first and only medication proven to treat and prevent migraines in adults. Don't take if you're allergic to Nurtec. The most common side effects were nausea, stomach pain, and indigestion. For important safety, prescribing, and patient information, visit NURTEC.com.
Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Gearheads know that some projects need so many parts, it feels like you need a whole storage unit just to store them. That's what eBay Motors' 122 million parts are for. Think of it as your virtual parts garage. They've always got the right fitment at the right prices. Use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.